This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code DETROIT to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Hey, this is Brian Peña. I always join the Vito podcast, the best podcast in the United States.
And welcome to the latest, the freshest edition of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Chirco, along with my usual sidekick and broadcast partner in fun. That is Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. John, we just finished recording a great video that is now on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, and the Tigers have finished their disappointing, dismal, abysmal 2019 campaign. Can use a lot of adjectives, John, to describe how horrible it was, and it was putrid. They lost 100-plus games. They lost 59 games at home, John, and just not a lot of darn positives from the Tigers in 2019.
Tough season all the way around. They have the major league record for the amount of strikeouts in a single season, man. Can you
set
believe that?
As well. I mean, how bad do you have to be to set the major league record for strikeouts as a team in a single season? And guess how many, by the way?
1596?
1595.
Oh.
I think you saw the number from me in our pre-show meeting, right? But yeah, how about that? That many strikeouts now in an era of hitting for home runs or striking out. But guess what? In this two-outcome state of the game that we now are living amongst, John, Tigers don't hit home runs, though. I mean, that's the thing. So if they were doing that more often, sure, the strikeouts you could deal with on a more frequent basis. Guess what? The Tigers aren't hitting for power, though. Whereas the Yankees and Twins, they both won their respective divisions. The Twins winning the American League Central Division, the division that the Tigers are in as well, obviously. And they both hit over 300 home runs as a team this season. Tigers, not even close to that, John. Way behind the 8-ball and way behind the curve, right, when it comes to modern-day baseball.
One of the last games that I went and covered at Comerica Park, you and I both covered the Tigers now the last 2 years, in which, you know, the times have been tough. It's tough because the Tigers are not really competitive, not a lot of real storylines to dig into, but it was amazing in that Al Kaline was on the pregame show, and he was giving the state of the Tigers, and he was talking about the tough season and things like that. But then, you know, when he gave his overall assessment, I thought it was spot on. I thought it was really insightful. He said, at this point in time, we must draft guys that have proven power. We are lacking completely, top to bottom, in the organization with guys with proven power. And he said, I think the line that really caught my attention, that I really felt stuck out, was he said, I don't want to kind of look at guys that maybe project to have power. I want guys that have shown it in college. And I think what he's saying is that, yes, potential's great. It always is. And that's what a lot of fans are hoping, in that now the Tigers have secured the number 1 pick. They have a plethora of arms, a lot of potential in the minors. But then you look at it and you say, the risk of guys that are coming from the minors is so high that when you base the success of your franchise on the minors, you're really risking a lot. And so when you're looking and scouting players, seeing someone that already has the numbers, seeing somebody that can whop the baseball, seeing someone that has power, seeing someone that's already established, playing 2 or 3 years against top competition is a little bit better than maybe taking a young cat right out of high school. And I agreed with Al Kaline. I thought he was honest. I really thought he was frank. And by and large, when you look at it, Vito, right now the minors has a bunch of arms, but not a lot of strong hitting, powerful bats.
How about the team leader in home runs this season for the Tigers? Do you know who it was? And with how many for this guy, too?
Was it Dixon with 12?
Dixon with 15.
15?
I mean, okay, so more than 12, sure. But 15 home runs, not even 20.
Ooh,
we couldn't even get
Vito.
one guy with 20 home runs.
Wow.
Look at the Bronx Bombers. Look at the Twins. Look at across Major League Baseball,
Wow,
these
Vito.
other Major League Baseball clubs, and how many home runs they hit, and how many individuals they had hit 20 or more home runs. Tigers couldn't even get one guy to hit 20, John. In a day and age of baseball where the balls are flying out of the ballpark at premium, historic rates. The most home runs ever hit in a single season was this year, right? And the Tigers couldn't even get one guy to muster 20 long balls. That's a team-wide issue, and Al Kaline is correct. I mean, I know there is something to developing guys and to making sure they get better as home run hitters as time goes on, such as Victor Reyes has a really good swing that could become a more consistent power stroke eventually. And really, he had a great second half for himself and should be the Tigers' starting center fielder. But the thing is, he's a guy that still is developing. What Al Kaline made a point of was bringing up the fact that the Tigers need to start having guys that already have that power stroke, are coming from college, and are already able to produce extra base power, to hit 20 to 25 bombs at the major league level. Some people thought Kristen Stewart maybe could do that. Then he got hurt, and he didn't fulfill all of his expectations. Maybe he still can be that guy that hits 20 to 25 bombs. I know my brother even thinks that. So there's a guy right there. But how many guys on this current Major League roster going into 2020 can you rely upon to hit that many home runs? Not many, if any at all, unless you consider, once again, Kristen Stewart. And that's why I think they're strongly considering drafting a hitter at number 1 overall in next year's amateur draft. And we can talk about that ad nauseum, about the guys they should consider. One guy really quick to note is the first baseman of Arizona State. Now, his name is Spencer Torkelson. And this guy has some power.
Tank for torque.
Right? Tank for torque. And he's a guy that hits for average, an all-around hitter. And the Tigers don't have many of those kind of sluggers in their farm system or at the major league level right now.
Yeah, I do believe Al Kaline, when he speaks, it carries a lot of weight. And it's obvious. I mean, we're talking about it. Everybody that looks through the organization's talking about it. I mean, the Tigers have to add a plethora of bats, position players, and guys that can hit the baseball, especially in this new era. No doubt about it. If you don't hit home runs, you're not going to compete. Because look at the Twins. Look at the Yankees. They can destroy the baseball. Not only one guy, but literally, Vito,
multiple dudes.
5 or 6 guys each can hit 20 home runs or more. So obviously, within the Tigers organization, they're going to have to look at a draft strategy. And through the minors, if you just take a quick look, there were a couple guys that had some disappointing seasons. So basing your hopes and dreams on all those arms, I'm okay with potentially, when the time comes, hopefully they perform well in the next coming seasons. If those in the minors do indeed, in fact, perform, then potentially you can go and ship a couple of them for proven, established major league bats and position players. And I think that's probably going to be 1 or 2 guys is going to have to be at least let go, or, is going to have to be potentially maybe looked at being traded when the time comes. But Vito, people who are evaluating the Tigers, they're wondering, was this the worst year? I'm not so certain, because they're just going to be looking for the same thing. I heard it on the radio. They're going to be looking for guys that are going to be quote-unquote bargains that they feel like can come in and help the defense. Similarly, another Josh Harrison, another guy that, unfortunately, another Jody Mercer type that's going to come in here and hopefully shore up, everything that's going on. But I'm not so certain that probably it's not going to be, 112 losses or more bad, but it's going to be 90 losses plus.
If they lose 100 again, Al Avila next year should be out of a job. Gardenhire will be. His contract anyways runs out after 2020. But the Tigers need hitters, proven hitters. Offense rules. John, it reigns supreme nowadays across Major League Baseball, and the Tigers haven't caught up with the ways of modern-day baseball and how it's played. They are so far behind the curve right now with modern-day baseball and how it's played. And you look at a guy that you thought could hit 20 bombs this season in Miguel Cabrera, an aging veteran who is no longer in his prime. He hit 12 home runs. Hit a couple home runs in the last couple of days of the season to get to 12 long balls on the season. And he played in 136 games and produced a WAR of 0. Exactly 0 WAR, according to Baseball Reference. And he's a guy making $30 million annually until 2023. And he only hit 12 home runs. And then you look at the guy leading the way in OPS for the Tigers this season. Now, of the guys that at least played a bit with the Tigers, well, it's Nicholas Castellanos, now an ex-Tiger, and now with the Chicago Cubs, who had a catastrophic collapse down the stretch. They could have made the postseason, and he was killing it for a while there on the north side of Chicago. But of the guys that played with the Tigers until the bitter end of the season, guess who led the Tigers in OPS?
That's good. Who was on base quite a bit? Was it Jacoby Jones before his injury?
The aforementioned Miguel Cabrera. 744 OPS from a guy, once again, making $30 million annually. Subsequently, because he doesn't play in the field now, he was worth 0 WAR, according to baseballreference.com. Okay? That ain't good from a guy making $30 million annually, and his contract, once again, doesn't run out until 2023. At least Jordan Zimmerman, another aging vet on the pitching side, his contract runs out after 2020. And God, good Lord, can't wait for that to happen for the Tigers to get that salary relief once his contract is off the books.
Yeah, Vito, all the way around. The season was bad. Look, so bad that in the last 5 years, 2 or 3 years, we haven't even played 162 games. They're playing 161 games.
And they're lucky
they
played a $161 because nobody wanted to see another game.
I think people have been like, you know what, just drop them at 150. We're good.
154. Cut it down, baby, to what it used to be in Major League Baseball. It used to be 154 games. Tigers fans all over the place would love for it to be 154 games right now.
Just not a lot of positives, Vito. What was your biggest takeaway? What was your biggest positive takeaway from this year? I mean, was there somebody that stood out? I mean, a lot of guys that came up. I mean, maybe the positive is they shifted the coaches. I mean, Lloyd McClendon is no longer the hitting coach. He's still working with the organization. They shifted everybody around. I think that's fine.
Reshuffling of the deck. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It was broke, though.
Well,
he should have fixed it. And then Santiago just got shifted to third base. And then Dave Clark, that is, got shifted to first base. What is that going to do for the Tigers? Yeah, it's going to lead to so many more wins next year, right? No.
Yeah. By and large, it's a tough year. It was just... Man, Vito, but to be quite honest with you, I don't know if we just love it so much. It didn't feel like it was as long and grueling as some people make it out to be. Maybe because we're young and we're vibrant. We love going out there.
Well, I'm young and vibrant. You're not. Okay, come on. Don't lie to yourself.
But
please, don't lie to yourself, John.
It was not that bad. I mean, 162 games is long, and maybe because we covered 81 of them, we didn't cover the whole, shebang. That we don't travel with the team, that maybe it made it so much easier. Maybe that's probably what the situation was, is that we cover 81 home games.
Yeah,
it's
think
a
about
lot easier.
Anthony Fennick and Evan Woodbury and Jason Beck and what those dudes go through.
I give him credit. If I had to probably if I had to double the amount of work, forget it. It would have been a nightmare.
We'd be depressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to kid about that, but really, we would be somber at times, right, covering that team, man, day in and day out.
It'd be like at the end of every road series. It seems like at the end of all the road trips, John's piece is the one takeaway I had from this game. John had one takeaway, and it was, Tigers have no plate discipline yet again.
John, only one takeaway, and it's an ultra-negative takeaway. And John started drinking. He didn't used to drink like this, man. He's drinking tequila, vodka, you name it now. And he never used to consume anything like this in the past. Any kind of liquor like this or alcohol in the past like this.
Why are John's Q&As only 3 questions? It's like, does he not want to get in there and get in the mix? He's like, okay, how'd you feel about today? How do you feel about your game? Are you looking forward to getting back to Comerica? That's it. He asks the same questions over and over. John's gotten really lazy.
I don't think he's really watching the games anymore.
Exactly. John's decided to just aggregate everything.
In this day and age, a lot of sites are doing that anyways. And when your team isn't good, and once again, one correction here really quick. The leader in OPS now, well, technically was Victor Reyes. Didn't play in 100 games, though. But his OPS now in 69 games was 767. You asked me for one positive, Victor Reyes. Strides he made at the plate this year. Really liked seeing what he did as the season did progress. Only 3 home runs. You hope his power continues to develop. But he hit 304 on the season and 336 OBP. So hopefully the slugging now improves and his OPS as a whole improves in 2020.
Okay. I think my biggest takeaway was that, potentially speaking, Matt Boyd is somebody that, if you do hold on to him and Spencer Turnbull have a chance. Just those two arms have a chance to be in the mix, maybe 4 or 5. Outside of that, man, Vito, Jordan Zimmerman was rocked this year. It was a tough year. And afterwards, he brought it up. He talked about it. He said that, a lot of people don't believe in me anymore. They think I'm done. I'm ready to come back and try it again. That contract is so prohibitive. I don't see any major changes that he can make in 2020 that's going to really blow anybody away. So it's just a real tough situation to have him and Miguel Cabrera. What do you make of Miguel Cabrera hitting the home run a little bit better? Kind of people were saying and evaluating, saying, well, maybe his knee got a little healthy. That's what he can look like. I just said, too little, too late. Barely paying attention.
Last couple of games is when you turned it on and hit for power. When nobody cared. The season was over with. Over with a long time ago, and you finally started hitting for power. And guess what? Is that really going to carry over? It's a long off season, man. And trust me, as a Tigers fan, I hope he gets healthy. I hope he showcases more of that power stroke. Once again, everybody else is doing it across Major League Baseball. Albert Pujols is still hitting the long ball more than Miguel Cabrera. He's older than Miggy, also past his prime. So if Albert Pujols can do it at his age, why can't Miguel do it a little bit more? And I get he has the nagging injuries, but yes, I would like to see him reverse the course a bit and start hitting the long ball a bit more. And you know what? He's on pace for 500 home runs in his career. He's 23 away, I believe. So can he hit 23 next year? How about a game of Big Vito's over under really quick, John? Over under 20 and a half long balls.
Under.
Too easy. Let me change it then. Over or under, 16 and a half long balls from Miggy in 2020.
Oh, that's a tough one. What do you finish with this year? This year, what do you finish
12.
with? 12. Oh, I can't
I'm going to take the
bad.
over, surprisingly. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to be optimistic about one thing, about him turning it around a bit with the power stroke at least.
Yeah, I'll go under. I don't think that, when it was reported by Alavila that his knee basically is not going to get better, it's just going to be the least tolerable situation possible. I mean, what can he do? Is he going to stretch? Is he going to lose 30 pounds?
He's got to lose weight, man.
Yeah.
Training staff has to work with him, or he has to work with his personal trainer. And definitely can afford it, making $30 million annually.
I think we should be happy if we get 15 out of him.
God, isn't that bad?
It's tough.
We're talking about Miguel Cabrera like that now.
Tough time.
He's your biggest profile dude. And there's not a lot of hope with them. But you know what? Moving forward, forget about these oldies. Okay, these old dudes like Miguel Cabrera and Jordan Zimmerman. Let's turn a corner and look at the young guys. Victor Reyes, Jacoby Jones. We want to see stuff out of them moving forward. Willie Castro, Jake Rogers. Those guys have to showcase signs of improvements at the major league level next season. So our eyes really will be gazing upon them, right? And focused on those dudes. I think much more, and our eyes should be much more focused on those young dudes than Miguel Cabrera and Jordan Zimmerman.
Of those youth and anybody in the minors, who are you most confident that when the light shines the brightest, they'll deliver?
Matt Manning, because of what I hear about him. The Eastern League's pitcher of the year, so stellar numbers across the board all season long at AA Erie. So I think he's the guy that you can really hope for and predict success at the major league level once he hits it. And maybe not in his first 4 or 5 starts, but I think long term, once he gets enough innings under his belt at the major league level, I think you will see some success out of Matt Manning. How about you, John? Anybody besides for Matt Manning? Don't steal mine now. Come on.
Casey Mize. Give me Casey Mize. I think that, obviously his first full major league season had its ups and downs. People were concerned about that arm situation, and obviously you want to make sure that his arm is ready and when the time comes that he doesn't blow it out. But I think he's showing signs that he's got some stuff. He's got the moxie. So I think Casey Mize will deliver. But just like the Red Wings, just like other organizations, they're not going to rush it. They're going to take their time. They're going to bring these guys up when they feel ready. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to bring these young guys up and expose them to a losing culture. I mean, Nick said it. By June, July, it was toxic. I mean, nobody wanted to be there, and it was just in and out, the same kind of thing. Like, we can try our best, and we got to put it together. But at the end of the day, Vito, there were games where there was no plate discipline whatsoever. I mean, they were swinging at pitches that were so far outside of the strike zone that it was laughable.
They got worse in strikeouts. They got worse in plate discipline from 2018 to 2019. Guess what they said at the end of last year? We have to improve upon our plate discipline.
Yeah.
Okay?
Last year,
after last season, yes. They said they had to lower their strikeout numbers, improve their plate discipline.
And they went up.
And it was the opposite. Didn't improve. Not good. Now, let's get to our sponsor now. And one thing that was really good is the Detroit Sports Commission. based in downtown Detroit. I love those fellows over there. You got Dave Beechnaw. You've got Marty Dobeck and all the fellows over there that comprises a great staff at the Detroit Sports Commission, which you can find on Twitter and on Instagram at DET Sports. And also make sure to check out their terrific website at DetroitSports.org for all of their upcoming events that they are bringing to the Motor City and to the surrounding Metro Detroit area. And John, back here on Tigers Talk as we wrap up the 2019 campaign that we just enjoyed so thoroughly. And so many Tigers fans and pundits alike enjoyed so thoroughly.
Vito, got to go right to the paint and right to the biggest question of the day. There's a manager that's won the World Series, a little unusual. People love him, but obviously after winning the World Series with the Cubs, for whatever reason, Joe Maddon, his time there just kind of faded away in a manner in which led to his firing. And I whether or not you agree with it, a manager that wins the World Series eventually, how much respect do you give him? For the Cubs, it probably should be worth a lifetime job, but this is sports. And in sports, sometimes you just gotta, when all the signs point to maybe the manager needs to be replaced, maybe the connection's no longer there. Look, Brad Ausmus lasted a year. So you know what really happened.
I feel so bad for Brad, by the way.
Yeah, look what happened. This is the tough part because the organization went to Mike Trout and said, look, what do you think? And I know Brad has to think that, wow, they probably told management, this guy can't manage. This guy can't connect with the players. And maybe speaking, they went to Mike Trout and said, look, can you guys potentially handle Joe Maddon? And he gave the thumbs up. He had to have been consulted regarding Brad Ausmus no longer being around. And then, when you're the manager of the Angels and you got that payroll, you can't win 70 games. It's unacceptable at the highest level. He lost his job.
They lost 90 games, John. They should not have lost 90 games.
Should the Tigers maybe be a little proactive and maybe just, you know what? Thank you, Ron, for your service. We got to go find a manager that's actually done it in the biggest moments of all time. I
would hire Joe Maddon or Joe Girardi if I knew they really wanted the Tigers job right now and it was a coveted position for them, which it isn't. Sad but true, Tigers fans, okay? So let's not really get our hopes up about that happening because Joe Girardi and Maddon are both on the market right now. I believe both will have managerial positions in the majors next season. So Tigers after 2020 will probably be looking for a new manager. Ron Gardenhire more than likely won't be renewed for a 2021 campaign, but those two dudes probably won't be the heir apparent to Ron Gardenhire as Tiger skipper.
Yeah, you think it's LA bound for Joe Maddon?
I think that's why. So you brought up Mike Trout, and okay, let's say they did consult with them. I think really, it's ownership. It comes from up top with ownership, and that's Artie Moreno. He pulled the plug on Brad because Joe Maddon, who was a coach with the Halos in the past, so he wanted Joe Maddon. That's why he pulled the plug on Brad Ausmus after one season. And as much as we have dissed Brad in the past, I'll defend him a little bit here because he had some bad hands dealt his way, didn't he? Their best starting pitcher, Tyler Skaggs, passed away mid-season. Can't do anything about that. Totally out of his control. Mike Trout got hurt at the very end. But still, at the end of the day, they lost 90 games. With that payroll, they could not have afforded to have lost 90, and they lost 90 games. That affected his job security. And then, once again, and ultimately the biggest reason why he got dismissed, one name, Joe Maddon.
Yeah, it's tough times for Brad. I think it's it. I
think
that's it.
So. I mean, why would you give him another chance? I mean, I know he got a raw deal.
He got a great deal.
No, he got a raw deal.
He got 3-year deal, 4-year deal. He gets all the money. It's a great deal.
I know you're going to bring that up. But I'm saying, in terms of only 1 year on the job, I don't think anybody only deserves 1 year on the job.
Yeah.
Right? That's pretty poor.
Especially with the time he put in the organization. They groomed him.
Yeah.
He was there.
Special assistant in the front office, and then that happens to him. Adios, Brad, and hello to Joe Maddon.
And unfortunately, I guess we never wish anybody's part of a situation where the ownership decides to, quote unquote, go in a different direction.
For one season, that's lame. And Brad knows it too down deep. Yeah, going in a different direction. Honest, don't give me that crap after 1 year. It's because Joe Maddon's available. That's why they're moving on from Brad.
If Chris Ilitch was paying attention the way he needed to, he probably would, quote unquote, go in a different direction, find a new GM, find a new manager, and start this process the right way. But he has a lot of faith in Al Avila. He's got a lot of faith in Ron Gardenhire. I mean, I think I've seen enough at this point in time. You look, it's not to say that Al did a terrible job, But you don't think that potentially there's better out there? And you look at this different scenarios and you say, isn't there really a younger general manager with maybe a little bit more of a mindset of analytics to potentially figure out how to move this along? Because do you really believe the Tigers really fully embraced the proper way to use analytics? It didn't seem like it.
Chris Ilitch doesn't care about winning right now. Doesn't care about improving the ball club. If he did, he'd be spending money to improve the major league club. He could care less. So guess what he really cares about ultimately? His bottom line, and they probably are generating more revenue right now than when they were winning and bringing in tons of asses into the seats at Comerica Park on a game-to-game basis. So actually, because he's lessened the payroll, he's making more money for himself as the owner of the club. So for him, he could care less about winning. He's not spending the big bucks right now, and that's why, you know why he really advocated for Ron Gardenhire and Al Avila keeping their jobs? Well, because they come cheaper than an external hire that he could have made.
Always, Vito, comes down to the bottom line. So we end this podcast. You know what? You tweeted out on Monday, you took in the FS1 special. Was it a documentary? It was like an hour, 2 hours long?
A short half-an-hour documentary on Monday night. Really good on FS1.
I was not able to watch it. Do you know why? Because Dish Network has not reached a new agreement with Fox, Local 2, FS1, Big Ten Network, HBO, and I'm without it. So I lobbed a phone call to Dish Network, and I raised a fit, and I said, I'm not happy. I've been a customer for 20 years, and do you know what value they placed this go-around on Dish Network losing Fox? Major network, Fox, Big Ten Network, $5. They said, we'd give you a credit for $5. I said, I'm not happy. If you give me that, if we end this phone call with that, I'm dropping you. I'm getting somebody else.
Did you pull the plug?
No, I did not pull the plug.
Well, you should have. Come on.
They,
you came at them with that hardcore message to them. Hey, I'm leaving you, man.
Well,
and then you don't pull the plug?
They brought it. They gave me Showtime free, and they gave me a nice discount.
They eased the blow.
They eased the blow.
You got something out of it,
Of course. Vito, see, you're not listening to Doc and Jock. This is heralded. This is a running bit because it's happened so much that literally every 20 episodes, I'm sharing how I am going about my business with Dish Network, and you have not listened. It's been a great bit.
But you're not pleased.
It's been a wonderful bit.
Why don't you move on? You're not pleased with somebody.
I've been with them 20 years. Do I separate myself? 20 years
you're
of
cry
Dish.
once you break up with them?
I think I might have to.
It's going to be a somber moment.
What do you guys do?
We have Comcast at home.
You like it?
But my dad would like to pull the plug and save some money, I think, too, ultimately.
Yeah.
Which we might, but my mom likes watching. Big shout out to her, by the way. She likes watching LMN, Lifetime Movie Network, and the Hallmark Channel. So I don't think we get that like streaming if we cut the cord and we get Hulu or something of that sort. So I think because of that, we probably will keep cable. It's a lot of money though, man, because we're not using all those channels. So my dad is looking at it from an economic standpoint, right? And an economically smart and savvy standpoint. And he's saying to himself, we're not using all these channels, so why the hell are we paying this much for cable? So we might be another family that eventually cuts the cord, John, to sum it all up.
So what'd you make of the special? Was it good? Was it, you said that in your review, you said, man, Jim Joyce just is so gracious, was willing to take the blame. He was held accountable. He held himself accountable for the entire situation. And I think that's something that you were very fond of and you praised him for.
Well, he showcased so much more humbleness and humanity than you've ever contained in your body in all your lives or all your time on planet Earth, John. He's just a guy of accountability. Yes, you nailed it there. And a humble dude who showcased a lot of class and humanity in how he handled his epic mistake in costing Armando Galarraga a perfect game in 2010. By the way, to revisit that just very quickly here on Tigers Talk this week, John, remember, that was before the advent of instant replay. Instant replay was yet to be in existence. So if it would have been, that call would have been reversed by Jim Joyce at first base, and Armando Galarraga would have had his perfect game that ended up not being a perfect game. So that is that, but I really did enjoy the documentary and how I could watch a guy exemplify so much humanity and then come into work the following day and deal with you. The complete opposite of a guy that is full of humbleness and humanity.
Yeah.
You like that? Sorry for that little dig there. I'm kidding. Okay, so all joking aside, John Macaron is a good dude. How about that? I'll leave you guys with that. He is a good dude, by the way.
Make a guy an editor, he shows up for work on time. And
I did. I came early. Come on, man. Give me some credit for that. I came early. Well, also because it was payday for me at the podcast network. So I said, you know what? I'm going to come in early.
Not even 5 minutes early, 12 minutes early.
12 minutes early, baby. Now, you enjoyed that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Tigers Talk.
So now that the offseason has fallen upon us, what we'll do is I think we're going to continue every single week throughout the playoffs, and then once the offseason hits, we transition to every 2 weeks.
Bi-weekly.
That we've done?
Just like my pay should be, bi-weekly. So we'll transition to that with Tigers Talk, bi-weekly. How about that? So we'll keep rolling along here on Tigers Talk during the offseason.
That's what we've done, though, right?
And we have done that in the past.
Okay.
And the interest level just isn't too high, right? But this offseason could be interesting. You never know. Maybe a big trade or two is made by Alavila and company in that Tigers front office.
Follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. You can find the shows anywhere your favorite podcast is found. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything that you've heard today, feel free, lob us a voicemail, 248-579-8686. That's 248-579-8686. Hey, get your thoughts heard around the world. See everybody next week when we debut another edition of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company.
Adios.